Hi guys! So today I'm going to be showing you pretty much my everyday makeup routine. This is what I'm wearing if I'm going to work at Market Supply or out running errands. It's pretty minimal, pretty much just a CC cream, some spot concealing, doing my eyebrows, carving out them cheekbones, and it's all using cruelty-free products. So if you'd like to see how to get this look, keep watching. Alright, first out of the gate we have the e.l.f. Mineral Face Primer. This is supposed to fill in fine lines and create a flawless finish. It looks like green goo, but it actually feels pretty amazing. It has like a soft velvety texture, and it just kind of melts into the skin. So I'm just rubbing this all over my face, trying to concentrate a little bit more where I do have, you know, some larger pores and some lines, like around my nose, underneath my eyes, around my mouth, and then just kind of spreading the rest all over my forehead. Alright, next up I'm using the Super CC cream from Physicians Formula. This is in the color Light. I put it on the back of my hand first, and then I'm just using a stippling brush to kind of dot it all over my face before I start to buff it in. This basically helps so that I'm not wasting a ton of product in one area and I'm able to do a thinner layer all over. After foundation, I'm going to do a bit of spot concealing. I'm using the Above and Beyond Full Coverage Concealer, and this is by NYX in the color Porcelain, aka CJ01. And I'm going to take out a little bit from the pot with my Ego Tools concealer brush and just dab it on the back of my hand. So first I just like to conceal around my nose a little bit. I tend to get a little red and have kind of like some always broken capillaries around there. So just doing a little concealing. I like to dab it on first with the brush and then use my fingers to blend it out. Same thing on the chin. I tend to get a little red there as well. Next, I'm going to be using a new product to me. It is the Physicians Formula Under Eye Concealer. Well, technically it's a Youthful wear, but it's a dark circle corrector and concealer. And on the bottom it has a yellow toned concealer, and then on the top it's in the color Light. It's okay. I ended up just then applying it right from the tube. It's a very thin formula, and possibly if I didn't have a base on already, maybe it would provide a bit more coverage. Alright, so we're going to go back to the Above and Beyond Full Coverage Concealer from NYX. So just using that concealer brush again and applying it in a little bit of a V or a triangle formation. Just taking it down the cheeks, just blending it down my nose right now. Not as, you know, a concealer per se, but just kind of blending it in so that my nose doesn't look darker than the rest of my face. Peekaboo! Alright, so I've already done my right eye. I've done the eyebrow, mascara, shading, stuff like that. So moving on to this one, I'm going to be using a very small angled brush. And I'm using the Milani Brow Fix Brow Kit in Light. And I'm just using the middle shade Brow 1 right now. And for my brows, I know a lot of people do them very differently, and I think it's important to just kind of play around with a method that works for you and flatters your shape. I tend to not have a lot of hair on the inner corner, so I start a line on the bottom of the brow there just to kind of map out the beginning shape, because it really helps me kind of continue the rest of my brow as well. So I start there, and then I start on the top in the middle and just using small light strokes following through. Now at the front, I just use the brush in an upward sweeping motion to create a shape but not a super distinct line, because you never want the front of your brows to look like a stencil. Next up, I'm using the NYX eyebrow marker in M01 medium, And this is really perfect for mimicking actual hairs. So I like to use this in the front of my brow, just using really light strokes again. It helps to kind of fill it in with looking a bit more natural versus using a thicker pencil. Using a small semi-tapered brush, I'm again dipping into that middle kind of taupey brown shade. And I just use this as an eye contour. Because my eyes are really quite lidded, I really need something to kind of break them up and give them a bit more depth. So I just run the brush along kind of the top of your eyeball, so to speak, right in the socket. Just windshield wiper motions back and forth, really kind of carving out a shadow there. Dipping in the darkest shade, the Brow 2, and I'm just going to use this more on the outer edge, just on the base right back there, and then blending it through again. And then just sweep it underneath a little bit, just using whatever is left on the brush. Now I'm going to be using the Milani Brow and Eye highlighters. On the one end, you have kind of a sparkly, shimmery highlight, and then on the other end, it's more of a yellow toned highlight. But I'm just basically running the yellow matte color along the waterline. Just giving my lashes a quick curl, just a little Revlon curler. I start at the base and then do a couple up the length. I am using the Physicians Formula Organic Wear Mascara. This is the Fake Out Mascara. It is supposed to give you almost unbelievable lashes. This definitely takes 2 coats. I find that I'm also kind of a picky mascara person. I have quite long eyelashes, but they're really light, so you really can't tell, you know, how long they are until I have a solid coat on. But I also like them to be a bit thicker. I really do like this mascara, even though it definitely needs 2 coats to, you know, really get the effect that I'm looking for. To be honest, I end up using 2 coats with most of my mascaras. Alright, eyes are done, brows are done, base is done. Moving on to powder. I'm going to be using the Botanics Lighter Than Air Mineral Loose Powder. Using yet another eco-tooled brush. This one has denser bristles up until the end, and then it has really dainty ones. Basically just helps with really kind of buffing and blending. Just taking a slightly smaller brush in that same powder and just using it to really get in underneath the eyes and to set any kind of under eye concealing, just so it doesn't crease throughout the day. And then the same around the nostrils and around my chin where I had put some extra concealer. Now it's time to bronze up that face. As a day-walking ginger, bronzer can be both my worst enemy and my best friend. It's important to use a very light hand when applying, and I like to swirl it first in the bronzer and then tap out the excess, and then very gently sweep it in a kind of C shape, starting around my temples, right above my eyebrows, and then just sweeping it along. And then I just like to take any excess that's on the brush just down my nose, kind of across the cheeks, just to really blend it in, because with bronzer it's mostly about where the sun hits you, so the high points of your face essentially. Alright, using an angled contour brush, I'm going to dip it back into that middle brow powder. It's just a perfect kind of cooler taupey brown, and I like to start all the way up in the hairline. You can make the fishy face, just so that you don't have any kind of lines and it really looks like your cheekbone is starting way back in your skull. So just sweeping it just underneath the cheekbone and then a tiny bit underneath the jawline as well. Alright, next up is a Milani Baked Blush. This is in the color 02 Rose d'Oro. And just using a fluffy blush brush, tapping on to the apples on my cheeks and continuing just slightly up my cheekbones. And that is the finished face, guys. This is, again, what I wear kind of on an everyday basis. I have a light foundation, concealer, and minimal contouring. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.